We actually met in kindergarten in Rico Fermi. It's a school like on the southeast Yonkers, predominantly Spanish neighborhood. He lived in a nearby street called Main Street, and I was over here on the southwest. We was regular young teens, man, building a relationship as young kids in the neighborhood, two different sides of town. For example, he had his mother and father at home, you know what I'm saying, versus me. My father was snatched when I was 10, 11. I was already around certain elements, you know what I'm saying, that was already pulling me in little by little.
We were together every day, playing sports, basketball, cutting school, getting into trouble. We became inseparable.
When I got locked up, it was on assault on the first. He was still a vegetable, the victim. And 4 days later is when he passed. So I got indicted on murder.
And to me, it was like a dream. I was one of those that experienced what it is to see someone go to prison and need help and want to help when I couldn't help. So we both experienced the trauma from both perspectives.
It was weird because I always wanted to still do right. So I think while I was still flirting with, doing things I shouldn't be doing, I always wanted to try to get my education. So I think I always had that in my purview.
I didn't know what it was going to be, having a friend incarcerated. And ultimately, it brought me to a crash. Now I have to be a man. I have to be a father. I have to provide for myself because I have to survive. And that's exactly what I did, but it wasn't easy.
Leaving the county, transitioning into the state is when my mind really opened up to want to figure out how to become better than I was when I came in. One of my brothers, big bro, was a solid dude up north, right? Seeing him and other people like him, right, kind of get higher education was one of the motivations that wanted me to go for it. I was walking away with frameworks, tools to apply in real life. And I think that feeling motivated me to go harder. And then I had the opportunity to get into college. And I think getting into college is when my whole worldview changed.
I think it was the last 4 years of his time incarcerated where I was in a different place in my life. We would talk every day and he would tell me this plan that he had when he was going to be released. Man, I tell you, Jonathan, if I could express it, he was a rocket waiting to ignite. He got straight to it, and then ultimately led to, his crash on 14th Street.
I got home 2018. My first vision when I came home was apply to Parsons, and I get accepted with nearly a full scholarship. Right, so I'm doing all I can to prepare for school. I'm trying to work at Vogue. I'm trying to work all these big places. I'm networking, but nothing was really giving me what I needed. And I'm also transitioning. Right, I'm also dealing with trauma coming out of prison. I'm dealing with the re-entry. My first mental health breakdown that I really understood it was a breakdown. Coming off of the platform on 14th Street, heading to school, and just started crying.
I never forget this day. He calls me on the train. He's like, "Yo, man, I'm having a mental breakdown."
I reached out to my brothers, including John, because he was there during my transition. He was there for me for real. I think in that moment, I came out of that empowered and realized, yo, I want to do this. I want to create spaces for brothers who like me, who struggling mentally, who don't know where they want to go next. And that's when we started our first support group called the You're Not Alone Brotherhood. I brought some brothers together, and it was a beautiful experience though. And then that right there empowered me to really take that work and organize in our community.
He came up with the idea of this male support group. And to show you how we kind of are unified together, he's going through something, he shares it with me. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'll support you. Little did I know I needed it myself too. You know what I mean? And everything started after he was released. His encounter, his experience, my support, and we formed this group.
I think COVID was another catalyst in our movement that evolved us. And it was we had the urge to want to always do for others. So no matter the climate, I think we stepped into the gap. We was in Mount Vernon doing a give back, and they yo, so who are y'all? What's y'all name? And he was nah, we just from Yonkers.
I was actually enjoying the work we were doing versus being home in front of a computer.
Another question is, are y'all a 501c3 nonprofit? We don't know these questions at the time.
A lot of it came from one of our mentors, who's one of our board members now, who had already experience in the nonprofit space. He walked us through all of it.
The more we responded to certain moments, more opportunities came with because there was more recognition happening. So I think each moment opened us to act on, and then that opened up more opportunity. And the movement just organically started to grow.
The hardest thing was access to resources, right? Access to funds, right? In the very beginning, Jonathan and I were digging in our pockets to do all of this. And we were getting strategic. This is where we were learning how to plan. That was the journey from Jonathan coming home to the very beginning of what 914 United was becoming, right? We showed through our actions that it's not about the money. It's about doing the work. Who's really going to do the work? Thankfully, we have a great team that, you know, they come to work every day, and to them, it's their life.
We spent time building a curriculum. It was called the Youth Leadership Development Initiative. That was the first name of it. And it had some of the programs that we host now, right? Civic engagement, financial literacy. Our earlier life skills workshop was called manhood training. So we were trying to build a deliverable. Two moments for us, I think, is really present for me. The gala, our first fundraiser, over 430 people, 430 bodies paid to come support 914.
914 is beautiful. What it's doing for the community is beautiful.
That 914 United is not just a non-profit organization. We are a growing movement.
And then recently getting this space and seeing the kids in here and the parents, and that moment was like, nah, we literally just upped it on like 5 more notches, and now we serious. So the mission is, we really want to reduce recidivism, right? We want to really disrupt the gang violence in our community. We want these young brothers to stop going to jail. We want the young sisters to stop getting caught up in the system. The way in which that we're doing this work is 2 different ways. Something we call transformative justice, and then something that's called preventative services. So the transformative justice work is the work that we do in the incarcerated spaces. The prevention is focusing on kids who ain't been incarcerated yet or who are at risk. They might be gang involved, gang affected, gang influenced. That's the work we do with the schools. That's the work we do with community parents. So part of our work is to change the narrative. And not only changing the narrative of those that we serve, but also those who serve. And I think that that's key for me when I see that.
Our goal is to see every child or every young adult or every adult that comes through our space turn their life around. Not only because we're involved in their lives, but because they choose to do it.
The way I would love people to engage is come visit us, man. Come see what we got going on at the Leaders Lab, right? And we starting to ramp up our programs in here. Services happening all week, but those workshops that we're putting in this space is really the norm that we're trying to create in our city. We're working harder now to be more intentional with the message, but we want people to get close and personal. Learn our stories, learn why we do what we do, right? Come meet the people we work with. Definitely just come knock on our door and just see what we have going on behind the curtain.